I think we can start. This is a workshop to discuss these things between us and the major stakeholders of symbiosis, hospitals, and big startups and other relevant stakeholders. So I'll give the speech to Varvara that prepared most of this workshop and the agenda. So Varvara, and good morning to everyone as well.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Varvara Vasilaki. I'm an innovation consultant here at the National Documentation Center, the Greek hub of EIT Health. And we are very pleased to have you all with us. And it's very, the discussion today is very important. You know, the theme of connecting hospitals with innovation and helping them, supporting them with moving forward with innovation. It's really important. Also for us as a Greek hub, but also for the EIT Health. And at this point, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Beata Kourouts, the lead collaboration lead. I'm sorry for the name. I cannot really spell it correctly, but you know, Beata, it's really a pleasure to have you with us, representing EIT Health InnoStars. You have been doing a lot of work, working with towards, you know, supporting the hospitals in this journey. So it's great to have you with us. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Good morning, everyone. And I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so thank you very much for being with you here today. My name is Beata Kourouts, so the spelling was perfect. I'm from EIT Health, and I'm from the RIS program within EIT Health. And I warmly welcome you here today, this morning. And shortly, I'd like to talk you what is EIT Health, and more I'd like to tell you why is hospital engagement so important for us this year. So as you know, because I know that many of you know what EIT Health is. Just to refresh it, EIT Health is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And within EIT Health, there are lots of organizations from the healthcare environment of Europe who are the founders and members of EIT Health, like large companies, for example, Philips, Samsung, Roche, and so on, large universities from all over Europe, like Karolinska, Cambridge, and we can name more, and large research organizations and healthcare providers, of course, are members as well. Many university clinics work with us. And on the other hand, European Institute of Innovation and Technology is co-funded by the European Union as well. We provide different types of programs in all of the countries of Europe, so business creation, education, and innovation projects as well to support healthcare innovative activities in the countries. So as I mentioned we offer different types of programs for the countries, and the innovation ecosystem is important for us as well. And one of the tools for that is morning health talks meeting with you. So the high-level stakeholders of 13 Central, Eastern, and Southern European countries to find challenges, identify challenges, and step forward how to manage these challenges in the countries. So why is hospital engagement important for us? As you know, hospitals can play, and not only hospitals, but healthcare providers can play a crucial role in innovative developments. And I told that healthcare providers, not only hospitals, because we know that hospitals, but outpatient clinics, elderly care actors, social care actors, primary care actors also can be involved in innovative activities and innovative collaborations between startups and healthcare providers. And we know that role of healthcare providers are crucial how to develop further innovative activities, because providers know the real needs for healthcare. And that is why in the coming years, we want to focus on collaborations between healthcare providers and startups. Practically, that means that in 2023, we want to launch a pilot project in this field. And in 2024, we want to establish a final project for this collaboration. And that is why we are here now in this Morning Health Talks event, because we want to see the real frames of these collaborations on which we can build the final project managed by EITS RIS program in the future. And on the other hand, we are interested in the experiences of Greece in hospital engagement area, because in Greece, the symbiosis project is going on, and that is supported by EITS as well, and managed by National Documentation Center in Greece and University of Athens Archimedes Center, and 30 startups and 5 hospitals are involved in this project. So the feedbacks from this project are very important for us as well. And going back to Morning Health Talks, so we are here because we want to know the conclusions of your event today, the core statements. We will summarize it. On the other hand, we will ask you to fill a survey after this event. We will send you it, because we want to know your opinion and ideas about how healthcare providers and startups collaborations can be made deeper in the future. Based on that, as I mentioned we want to launch a collaboration network where we would like to embed 13 healthcare providers from 13 countries of Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe, and we would like to welcome at least one healthcare provider per country in this network in the future. And this membership is based on this participation in this event as well, because participation here, feedbacks, interest can show who want to participate in this network from next year, who are open, collaborate from your hospitals and healthcare providers in this network in the future. And what kind of information we would like to see from Morning Health Talks event and from the survey as well. We want to develop a network on a realistic basis. So we want to know all of the relevant and important information. For example, what type of healthcare providers can be relevant to collaborate in this network, capacities you can devote to a collaboration like that, healthcare services, type of services which can be involved in startup healthcare provider collaboration, and which are the type of services which are not relevant for collaborations. This is important information as well. Compensation need from your side in case of collaboration, legal frames, sorry, there are G there instead of F. Structure, dedicated person, can you devote to the collaboration? And we want to offer a training as education in innovation management area as well. And we want to know, based on this event and the survey as well, whether you are open to devote a person to be skilled more in this field. So in a very shortened way, that is why I wanted to summarize you why hospital engagement today is an important topic for EITS RIS program now, today, and this year as well. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be here all of the event and will listen to you, your opinion statement very much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Beata. It's really nice to have you with us, and it's really nice to hear that you're staying for the whole duration of the event. It's a great honor. And speaking about symbiosis that you mentioned, our capacity building program, we're very proud of it. And that we designed a project that it was much needed. It was like driven by the needs of hospitals and startups. And we are very honored that EIT Health is helping us and supporting us towards hospital engagement. And we have also Timo here, who was also the evaluator. So thank you, Timo. Our proposal passed, and really we are very honored to be engaged in this project. We have with us also Archimedes Center of the University of Athens, Vasilis and Yannis. If you would like to take the floor, Vasilis and Yannis.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure seeing you all again in another morning health talk event, in which we are all expecting to get inspired with innovation models, key success factors, success stories that will help us to further strengthen the collaboration between startups and the ecosystems, and so on to develop the local healthcare innovation ecosystem. Just a few words about Archimedes Center for those of you that don't know us. Archimedes is the technology transfer office and the business accelerator of the National Campodistria University of Athens, which is the oldest and largest university in Greece. Our main target is to connect the university's research community with the industry, with the market, and to promote entrepreneurship. And having that at the top of our mind, our services mainly consist of protecting IP rights, for helping the researchers to protect their IP rights, and then to commercialize their research, and running a business acceleration program that will help them to bring as fast as possible their idea from the lab to the market. We address to the university's community, and hopefully we are in this project with with ACT to bring along the university's clinics, to bring along the university's research community, especially in the medicine, and also some of our startups that are in the health sector with deep research, and also with combining research and IT. So that's all from me. Yannis is also, I'm the manager of the Business Accelerator. Yannis is the manager of the TTO. He is with us, and hopefully we'll have a very interesting workshop. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Vasilis. Thank you. It's great to have you on board. Yannis, if you would like to.
I think he's in the call, Barbara, okay. So we might proceed.
Okay, thank you. It's anyhow, our CBS's stakeholders know you guys, so it was more about our international speakers to get to know you. With George, he's the coordinator of the IT Health Greek Hub. So if you would like to say a few words, George, about our CBS's project.
Well,
because it has grown from what Beata shared. Our project has grown a bit. You know, our initial estimation was about engaging, our target was to engage 30 startups, but we had really, that was a big challenge for us to select only 30. So.
We have 40 startups and 8 hospitals, and probably with the help of some colleagues that are here as well, like Ms. Haliti, we probably will have 2 more. I would like to see some innovations that can help my shoulder rehabilitate in less than 4 weeks, so I could be more functional. Other than that, we believe that it's a very, very interesting project that put together the hospitals with their ambassadors, doctors, and administrative personnel, that they freely provided their time to the project. without compensation, and with the startups. I think, Μαρία, νομίζω το μικρόφωνο σου ανοιχτό.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, let's continue and hope that we will have also real pilots, and soon I will send a survey to the startups to ask them what collaborations have been done so far. But we already know that there are 6 or 7 collaborations, not only European projects, but real pre-pilots or participations in the company's boards, from doctors, from the hospitals, and more. So thank you, and Barbara, back to you.
Thank you, George. Now we have Louise Wimberg Thompson. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. She's a senior innovation officer at the Royal Danish Embassy and Innovation Center of Denmark in Tel Aviv. And she's also the author of the guide to building Nordic hospital innovation models based on Israeli practices. So Louise, the floor is yours.
Yes,
thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be a part of this event on what we think is an extremely important topic. And I hope you can see the presentation. Yes, so my name is Louise. I'm Senior Innovation Advisor at the Innovation Center of Denmark in Tel Aviv. That's part of the Danish Embassy. And I'm head of life science and healthcare, and specialized in helping the Danish hospitals and the Danish ecosystem, and also in collaboration with Swedish and Norwegian hospitals and ecosystem to build their innovation models, and also to build methods for stronger collaboration between hospitals and industry, because we do see some challenges in the collaboration between hospitals and particularly startups. But I will dig deeper into this today. As we see it, hospital innovation is critical and crucial, and it actually comes quite natural for hospitals, for the very simple reason that hospitals are used to being under urgency, stress, and agile, and thinking up fast and new solutions in the medical emergency that they work in on a daily basis. And what we wanted to do in the Nordics was to see how we can use some of these natural muscles of hospitals to also help them become stronger in being engaged in accelerating health innovation. Innovation in general is very much dependent on a strong ecosystem around it. And the ecosystem needs to consist of all of the partners that are involved in innovation, whether it's corporates or investors, the government, hospitals, startups, and the universities. And it's not just enough that they're around, they need to be well integrated, and there needs to be a very strong collaboration between all the partners of the ecosystem for health innovation to really create true impact. And each part of the ecosystem needs to understand what is their role in advancing health innovation, and what barriers currently exist for them not to do this most efficiently. And those are some of the things that we've been looking at in the Nordics to kind of identify the barriers that need to be removed in order for the Nordic hospitals to be very strong innovators. We have not typically had the hospitals at the center of the ecosystem, but that is what we have been doing and think it's very important to do. Traditionally, hospitals were considered to be healthcare providers, and that was their main mission. But today we want to add on an additional mission of hospitals, and they really, alongside startups, need to be the main drivers of health innovation, and they need to be the ones fueling the public-private partnerships. We also think that hospitals need to have a technology transfer office in the hospitals, Traditionally, in the Nordic countries, the technology transfer has happened through the universities, but that pulls the hospitals quite far away from the application of new innovation. And so we didn't see that as a good way of driving hospital innovation. And so we've been creating technology transfer offices in the hospitals and also places for startups to be present in hospitals. So we've been developing actual innovation centers in hospitals where startups and corporates and government and investors can actually sit and be an integrated part of the hospital daily life, because they need that access on a daily life. And when we talk hospital innovation and innovation models, we see that hospitals need 3 models to be in place. One is the in-house innovation platform, which is really spinning out any new solutions that are created by the healthcare professionals in the hospitals. They come out of needs that the healthcare professionals have seen during their daily work in the hospitals and have come up with ideas to develop. And then there's a need for a technology transfer office to take over the process, because we do want healthcare professionals to be engaged in innovation, but we also want them to remain healthcare professionals. So we don't want to pull them out of the hospitals. So we want them to continue and alongside this do innovation. But in order for that to be efficient, they need a unit in the hospital that will take care of the tasks that they don't need to be a part of in innovation. And there's quite a lot of them. And then there is the open innovation platform, which is the collaboration with startups and with corporates. And that is kind of two-sided. And we've seen in the Nordics a bit of a challenge when it comes to the open innovation platform and what that means. So in the Nordic hospitals, there has been a tradition that hospitals wanted to be involved in innovation in innovation with startups, in order to have the startups help them develop the solutions that they needed. But what we're saying is also, they also need to turn it around and be available to help startups with what they need, even if the solution is not relevant today for that hospital, because it does provide a more global aspect to health innovation. And the hospitals also have a role in driving not only their own innovation and making them a better hospital, but also the global innovation and providing solutions for patients on a global level. And that's why the open innovation platform with industry is extremely important to get right, exactly what that should consist of and how you work with startups. What we are saying is that healthcare systems today cannot afford for hospitals to not drive innovation. Traditionally, it has been that the healthcare system could not afford for hospitals to focus on innovation. They needed to focus on healthcare. Today, we're saying they cannot afford not to focus on innovation, and that it actually needs to be a core hospital mission. So hospitals today need to provide healthcare services. That will still be their prime focus. They also do a lot of research, which for a long time has been a focus for hospitals, especially university hospitals, and education of new healthcare professionals. And we want to add a 4th core mission for all hospitals, which is to drive innovation. And the reason for that is that the return of investment, the impact of hospital innovation is a lot more than just the solution that comes out of it. It makes the hospitals better hospitals. It also makes the healthcare professionals better healthcare professionals to be involved in innovation, to find new and better ways to work. It provides enormous motivation for healthcare professionals to be part of a greater change. And today we have a huge problem of a shortage of healthcare professionals. So we need to maintain as many as possible in the healthcare system. And as Beata also mentioned in her introductions, hospitals provide crucial access to what are our actual needs, what solutions do we need. And we've had a very big challenge with hospitals not being clear with industry as to what are the actual needs for new solutions. And so particularly startup companies have had a tradition of developing solutions for needs that they think are present, but they actually don't know. And they only find out when they come with the solution and offer it to the hospital. And that can be a very expensive experience if it doesn't actually work the way hospitals work. So if, for example, a startup wants to develop a surgical device, and they think this is the device that is needed in hospitals because it's been a known problem that no such device has existed. And they develop the device. The device itself is very good, but they come to the physician and say, here's the device, how about trying it out? And the device is for the right hand. And the physician says, I can't use that because I have something else in my right hand that needs to be in my right hand. So this needs to be developed for the left hand. Something that could have been avoided from the very beginning if the startup had access to the surgeon before they even started developing the technology. And that's why this double way of innovation with hospitals is crucial. Also for the competitiveness of your companies. If your companies do not have access to your hospitals, your companies will not be able to compete internationally because they will be beaten by startup companies that do have access to hospitals in other countries around the world. And that's what we realized in Denmark and why hospitals have now started engaging in innovation and helping startups. And it's important because it's kind of help to self-help, because if you get startups to develop solutions that are good for you, then you also provide better services. So for you to actually help the startups from the beginning will make you a better physician as well. And that has taken some time for the Danish hospitals to realize, but we have now come there that there is a change in the mindset also of the hospitals. And so what we've kind of seen in building the Nordic hospital innovation models is that there really are 8 critical building blocks in an innovation model that any hospital needs to have in place. One is a culture of innovation. You need to send a message to healthcare professionals that they are encouraged to be part of innovation and how they will be incentivized to do so. Do they need to spend their own time or will they be given time to innovate? That is usually a huge problem for hospitals to solve, and there are different ways to do that. They also need to have a model for how they work with startups. Startups are agile. Startups have very little money, and startups have a great urgency to work at a very high speed. Hospitals usually don't think that way. And so hospitals, if they want to work with startups, need to think as a startup and act as a startup when it comes to the innovation part of it. And there needs to be a very smooth process for how you get the startup into the hospital, what you offer them, how you offer it to them, and how they can work in the hospital. Otherwise, they will get stuck in the bureaucracy of the hospital. You need to think of the location of innovation. You don't have to have the innovation unit in the hospital. We've seen other models in both Denmark and also Israel where we put our inspiration from, that some hospitals are part of incubators and they provide services to the startups in the incubator. That's another less expensive way of doing it. But you need to have a clear interface with startups. You need to commercialize what you're creating, because in Denmark we have excellent research, and I'm sure you do too. But if we don't commercialize it, that is all wasted efforts that could have benefited patients and citizens. You seriously need to think about how are you going to fund hospital innovation and health innovation, because it's not cheap. And we know that when the government needs to make cuts to the budget, if you're a public hospital, which all of the Danish hospitals are, and I know some of the Greek are as well, it's the first place they're going to cut is the innovation. And so you need a way of getting funding elsewhere as well, so that you're sustainable even when the healthcare system is cut. There's an issue of data access. It's something we struggle with in the Nordics still, because like you, we're under GDPR restrictions, but we need to find a way to make that work, because healthcare, data-driven healthcare is our future with telemedicine and hospitals at home, and we need to find a way to have access to the data. So that's an ongoing discussion that is very important to have a focus on when you start working with startups, because startups need your data. So you need a solution for how you can provide that access. And there are a lot of great technologies for anonymizing and so on data. Just some of the challenges that we've seen working with the Nordic hospitals is that you need to get a political mandate for hospitals and startups to work together. There has been a tradition that hospitals should not get too close to industry, because they shouldn't be too commercial, because they're providing services to the public. But you still need a mandate from the leadership of the hospital and the leadership of the country that says we do want to allow hospital innovation and we want to encourage it, and we will try and create the right framework for hospital innovation. You, of course, need to find a way to balance healthcare and innovation. And that is always the big question. How can we still provide the healthcare we need to provide, but also give time for innovation? And that's an important discussion to have with your healthcare professionals, how you do that. How much time are they willing to invest of their own time outside working? And again, it's also about making the process smooth so that they have to spend as little as much possible time on innovation, but still be able to do it. And then establishing a culture of innovation and incentives. It could be prestige. It could be celebrating the stories of success in the hospitals where something has been spun out or a new solution has been created, and celebrate these so that people are motivated to do the same. We talked about data, external sources of income. That is a huge challenge. In Denmark, we've always had, because we have public hospitals, and we've always had the attitude that hospitals cannot make money on innovation because they're public and they're provided funding from the government. We are working to change that. It should be possible to make money from innovation and reinvest that money in innovation. And that's why it's important to have some kind of agreement with companies on what they can provide of funding for the innovation that you provide them. And that's why it's important not just to focus on startups, but also on corporates, because corporates also want access to hospitals, and they're also crucial partners. And combining the three, hospital, startup, and corporate, we have found very beneficial in the Nordic countries, because corporates are also dependent on startups, and startups are dependent on corporates. So the magic is finding the great collaboration between the hospital, the corporate, and the startup in developing new global marketable solution. And that brings me also to the point of win-win. We see that there's still a challenge in how do we create a win-win between hospitals and startups. Hospitals usually want to create a solution that they can use now and that they need. And I don't know how much it's common in the Greek system, but in the Danish system, we very much struggle from the not invented here syndrome, which means that every hospital wants to invent their own solution instead of using the ones that already exist. And so we often have 100 potential solutions for the same need, which in many ways is a waste of innovation resources. And so we're trying to get away from that concept and to have hospitals just focus on needs that have no solution, and to work with startups on developing needs that are actually needed, not just needs that they need. And that's also what startups need, because startups cannot afford to just develop a solution that fits you. They need a solution that is scalable and marketable and can be used internationally. And that is this struggle, but also the magic of how do you create a model where both the startup and the hospital can win something that is impactful for them. And so what we're doing right now in the Nordic countries is that we've established a coalition of innovation between hospitals and industry, where we're working on creating one voice so that hospitals and industry speak the same language, and we eliminate some of the barriers that are for startups to get into the hospitals. And we've created a whole storytelling that everybody is now using of what are the actual returns of investment on hospital innovation, so that everybody is moving in the same direction. We're focused a lot on capacity buildings. We need to create a common culture between hospitals and industry. And we need to develop the skills, because healthcare professionals don't necessarily know what innovation is. We teach our students entrepreneurship in universities, but we don't teach our healthcare professionals innovation. And so there is a job for us to do some training so that they understand what is going on around them when they're involved in innovation. They don't necessarily need to be a part of the whole process, but they need to understand the process. And they need to understand how they work with startups and how startups think and how startups act and what startups need. At the same time, we need to educate our startups how hospitals think and how they work, because startups have also, we've seen, had a misconception of what hospitals can and cannot do. And then we're focused on building innovation that is international from the beginning. We always tell our startups that they need to think international from day one, because they need to go international in order to scale up and maybe do an exit. But we want hospitals to do the same. We want our hospitals to be international in their mindset when we talk about innovation. And so that's why we are now working on a big project where we're creating an international hospital and industry alliance. Right now between Denmark, Sweden, Israel, and the US, but other countries can join as well. And we're creating an international innovation academy for healthcare professionals so that they can study innovation together with healthcare professionals from other countries. And one of our purposes is to make innovation as prestigious as research is. Because today, everybody agrees that it's prestigious and important for healthcare professionals to be part of research, but we want to make innovation the same. And that's why we're creating these international training programs to provide more motivation for being engaged in innovation from a healthcare perspective. And I agree, I've been talking about hospitals, but that includes any kind of healthcare professionals in the entire ecosystem. And you, of course, need to find models to include all of them. We've just started with hospitals because we need to start somewhere. So we've tackled now the hospitals first. And we're, of course, happy to share more of our learnings with anyone who's in the process of building innovation models. And the first thing the Alliance is going to tackle is to build a stronger model for collaboration between hospitals and industry, because we see a huge challenge there still and huge barriers. And so we're going to try and sit together between hospitals and industry from these 4 countries and see if we can build a model that can be applied internationally on how we do better collaboration between hospitals and industry, and bringing in other partners as well, because hospitals should not only collaborate with industry, but also with investors, with the government, with other parts of the ecosystem. So we're happy to have anybody included in these alliances that we're building, and also to share any of our learnings that could be beneficial for anybody going through the same journey that we are currently in the Danish healthcare system. So I think I will stop here, and then if anybody has any comments.
Thank you, Louise, so much.
Vasilis has a question, I think.
I have dozens of questions actually, so I'm not gonna ask anything, but I'm gonna say, Louise, that your presentation actually brought us back to the future. Your presence is probably our future. You mentioned about TTOs in hospitals, and I have to say that in most of the Greek universities there aren't TTOs. So if I'm gonna ask I'm not gonna say anything about political and leadership mandate, external sources of income, or return on investment about Greek hospitals. Okay, not now. But I have just one question. If you go back and say the one thing we should first put in our mind, the top thing that we should put on our mind regarding this implementation of the innovation model you said, mainly to public hospitals, what that thing would be?
To create a culture of innovation in the hospital that allows healthcare professionals to focus on innovation, but also motivates them to do that. And that needs to come from the top down, but also from the bottom up. And that is a huge job. In Denmark, we've decided to use what we call innovation champions, which are some of the most active healthcare professionals that have already engaged on their own in innovation, not waiting for the system to be ready for it, and to celebrate them and showcase what they've done in order to bring others in to do the same. But getting that culture of innovation in place in the hospital, I think is crucial for the hospital to be able to also collaborate with industry. And the second thing is to understand what it is that industry needs from you.
Thank you.
Varvara, is the questions, are we open for questions now? Or
Well, in the schedule, normally we would continue with the presentations and then we would have the panel discussion. But I think Louise really inspired us all and created a lot of questions.
Professor Galitis can ask a question now, just quick one.
Yes, just one quick question and then we go.
Thank you for your presentation, and I apologize for my voice, I'm not cold. It was very interesting and very important. We're just starting our collaboration with the public hospital and have a discussion with the private. And we have agreed on the first draft, what they need and what we can offer. They liked it. And could we have what you presented to us, the PowerPoint or a text, you said information, or the information about the International Healthcare Alliance, to give them this motivation for the chairs of the hospitals and such. I have another question also, but this is the first more important.
I think if the presenters, speakers don't have any issue with that, we will share the PPTs with the participants. If Timo and Luis and the other don't have any issues,
yeah,
we'll share them and the recording. We'll continue, and Professor, you can ask the second question after Timo's presentation and Dimitri's presentation.
Timo will be sharing his experience from the Finnish innovation environment, and he has been working at Ulu, if I pronounce it correctly, Ulu Hospital.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk to us about the innovation system there, but also a mega project that Finland is up to. So Timo, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to double check that you can see the slides and hear my voice.
Yes, we can see it in full screen.
All right, great. So I'm Timo Ala-Lääkkölä. I'm from Oulu University Hospital, and I'm there acting as a manager of testing and innovations. And I was really happy to hear the previous presentation, and also thank you for inviting me to this session to share our case example of Oulu Health Labs. It's actually about innovation culture, what we have been establishing in Oulu for years already. But concerning the previous presentation, that could have been mine. So I totally agree with all the said thus far. And maybe with this presentation, I can show you a practical example what it is to execute this kind of public-private collaboration platform in public healthcare in practice. Just briefly, my personal background. I'm not a doctor or engineer. I'm a Master of Science in economics. And I'm also doing my PhD work in Oulu University Business School. I'm actually researching health innovation networks. So my work is also my research ambition. I have been working in life science sector for 10 years, executing different development projects in public hospital, but also before that, I was working for Nokia for 10 years in various innovation procurement positions. So I have been in the field of innovation for 20 years thus far. Today's talk is about our Oulu Health Labs innovation testing and development platform, but also the co-creation model, what we have and what we execute with the private sector. And then about a few words about the future hospital OS 2030 mega project. Humble aim is to build the world's smartest hospital. So let's see what's that about. Just to set the scene. So Oulu Health ecosystem is the enabling factor for also Oulu Health Labs activities. Oulu Health ecosystem consists of universities, University of Applied Science, vocational schools, but also research centers in the Oulu region, like a Technical Research Center of Finland, for example. Then it's the health and social care providers, specialized healthcare, primary care, social care, elderly care, and such actors. And of course, we are closely collaborating with those life science companies in the region. One of the known companies recently is the Oura Wellness Tracker Ring that has gained the worldwide presence quite nicely. But it's not only about those previously mentioned citizens are the ones whom we execute these actions to provide best possible care for the citizens. Oulu is not the capital of Finland. We are actually located quite up north, and the responsibility area of specialized healthcare in Finland. So Oulu University Hospital covers the half of the landscape of Finland. And the northern part of Finland, it's sparsely populated. So there is continuous need for finding different ways of providing care for these remote locations. But then let's move into the Oulu Health Labs. So it's an innovation, testing, development platform for companies, but also for healthcare professionals. There are actually two different perspectives to this. Companies, they need to know what is needed, but they also need feedback from healthcare professionals. And that was not really easy to get before Oulu Health Labs. But also our own professionals, they are continuously getting new technology in use, but those technology solutions are actually not very usable at all times. There was a good example of this right and left hand usage of some new devices. So it's real, and that goes on and it repeats. So we wanted to provide this kind of platform where we can collaborate between private and public actors in healthcare. Oulu Health Labs, it's a testing and development environment for companies to test and develop health and welfare products and services in authentic healthcare environment and with genuine users. Our testing platform covers the whole chain of health and social care, from the specialized level in Oulu's test lab to primary care, social care, elderly care of City of Oulu in the Oulu Welfare Lab, and then the future professionals in the Oulu University of Applied Sciences simulation environments. And latest addition to this catalog is a MedLab, which is the medical imaging and training and teaching laboratory. That was a part that was missing before, but since the beginning of this year, we actually got them on board. We have a physical testing laboratory space in Oulu University Hospital, simulation laboratories in Oulu University of Applied Sciences, and as said, we can utilize City of Oulu's primary care centers, but also these kind of elderly care caring facilities, or even people's homes for the testing purposes. We are providing these testing and development services to every phase of R&D process, from idea to prototype testing. Maybe prototype testing is the most what we do, but also quite many idea sanity checks with healthcare professionals. But since we have these physical laboratory spaces available, so we can utilize these for various showcasing purposes, training purposes, but also for the future hospital development purposes. I will come back to those a little bit later. Maybe a practical example about the typical test case. So there was a challenge in healthcare that the amount of infusion given to the patient wasn't really accurate. There was a typical way of measuring the amount of infusion to check the seconds from the watch and then calculate that how many drops per minute is given. But our doctors and nurses wanted to get better solution to this, and a group of ex-Nokia engineers actually took the challenge, and they have been developing a device that collects the exact amount of infusion given, but also provides this information remotely to nurse's office. And especially in the COVID times, this kind of remote monitoring devices have been really convenient. And when this product came to Oulu Health Labs, it was an early phase rough prototype. Our healthcare professionals provided feedback that what information they want to see in the screen of this kind of device, and it has been further developed in these simulation training sessions with the Oulu University of Applied Sciences. And this is very local product, since it's also now being manufactured in Oulu region, but it's sold worldwide. So really good concrete example of this, what we can do in collaboration with companies. If we took a little bit steps to the future, so we have been seeing that this kind of medical device regulation, it's more strict than before. Now there is much more need for this kind of approval processes and summative testing cases. So these are both illustrations from the test scenarios in the laboratory. Here is the summative testing of brain status device, and here is the reference testing ongoing for the contactless respiratory rate monitor against the golden standard device. Oulu Health Labs has been around since 2015. We were the first one and leading one in Finland, and we want to keep it that way. So latest addition to Oulu Health Labs catalog is the recognition to the companies that have co-created solutions with us. So we have now a criteria, and we can provide this kind of recognize for the good collaboration, and those best solutions will get now Oulu Health Labs label that they can utilize for the marketing purposes, and showcase that they have a preference from Oulu. Then if we move on to this little bit different perspective of healthcare professionals. So we are actually, our doors are open for new ideas. We have renewed the innovation process of the hospital district, and now we are collecting the ideas from employees and also from citizens through electronic idea management platform. even you, if you have a good idea for future hospital, you can go into this address and share your development proposal. These ideas are evaluated and processed regularly, and we always provide feedback for this person behind the idea. And since process renewal, this was renewed in late 2018, so we have collected already maybe 2,000 ideas to the platform. So the amount of ideas, it's huge. And we have been also find pretty good product development challenges and needs from the hospital through this platform. And what we do with those great ideas, but also with those challenges in the daily operation. So one response and to that is in-demand co-creation model. It's a model where we take those real daily challenges of a hospital organization or public healthcare organization, and we publish those to companies as a call for solutions. We get good technology solution proposals for those challenges, and we select the best of those to the co-creation path. It could be 6 to 12 months co-creation period, and in the end, the solution solves the challenge for our hospital, but this company owns the solution and they can sell it to any other hospital or healthcare provider throughout Europe. And one example of those lately developed devices is this Vitacam device, which is the contactless respiratory rate monitor, which is based on the machine vision algorithm. It utilizes just the basic webcam technology, but the intelligence is in the algorithm. And it provides the respiratory rate information during the traditional basic, when people come to the triage situation in the emergency room, so they get instantly the respiratory rate information there. And this was actually the idea from an emergency room nurse, but with this process, we could get a medically certified device available to the market in a little bit more than 2 years. Typical time for this new medical device development is 5 to 10 years. So there is huge potential in this model. And it's highly valuable to recognize that it also supports the motivation, empowers the healthcare professionals when they can have an effect to their daily challenges with these kind of development project cases. At first, it might be feeling like a leap of faith, like in that picture, for the healthcare professionals to start working with private companies, but with the right kind of facilitation and with the right kind of support and mandate from management to participate in this development. So we have found it really well serving in the current challenging situation of public healthcare. And also, it's a way how we can get those citizens, like in this case, private experience experts, to participate in the product development. So these services and healthcare solutions that we are developing could fit also as good as possible, also serve the needs of the patients. And thus far, I think a correct number would be now 150 pilots completed. So it's been quite active for the past years. There really is a need from the market, from the private companies for this kind of collaboration platform, but also there is a need from public sector to this kind of enabling activities. And yes, we have been also training and teaching our professionals to know what innovation is about, and that it's not rocket science, but it's something that anyone can do, and anyone has a chance to improve their daily working conditions with these kind of development cases. And that was the part concerning Oulu Health Labs. We can get back to that in the following discussion, but I will also briefly share the latest developments of Future Hospital OS 2030. This is the mega project where we are building Oulu University Hospital, renewing it on its current stand. And the reasoning is that on a sunny day from a distance, Oulu University Hospital still looks quite okay. But it's getting old. Actually, it has been designed in 60s, built in 70s, and these facilities are not up to modern standard of healthcare anymore. And thus, we are now investing heavily to rebuild and renovate these facilities on its current stand. But it's not only a construction project. It's actually about renewing the mode of operation of Oulu University Hospital. We have been for years already designing the new processes, bringing the patient to the center of the activity, and renewing all the functions of the university hospital that are built around this, serving patients in the best possible way. And then we have selected and selecting the technologies that are needed to run these new processes and building facilities to fit for the need of these new processes. And that is how the smartest hospital in the world is being built. We are utilizing this laboratory, OS Test Lab premises, for designing and developing these future hospital premises already now. There are functions and premises workshops where we model these future hospital wards in one-to-one scale and act these treatment procedures with healthcare professionals and together with service designers, architects, engineers, and other professionals. Sometimes we bring in all the systems also. For example, we did a total silent ICU modeling with Philips, with all the devices and even those handheld devices. So we really get a good idea that how this future technology will be applied then to this future hospital premises. And for participants, our doors are open for technology solutions. So if you have your new technology that you would like to introduce the future hospital, so os2030.fi, and there you can find a communication channel how to get in contact with the future hospital team. This development and construction project is proceeding really nicely. The building has now reached its full height, and they are now doing most of the work inside. This first phase, buildings A and B, will be finalized by fall next year, and we will be moving into these new premises. It's the first phase is about 24/7 operations of the hospital, so all the hot functions are there. But as a developer, the very exciting part here is that this new hospital is much more compact than the previous one, so there will be free space on the lot. And we have now a conceptualizing work ongoing to make a plan for this kind of research, development, innovation center, but also incubation center for companies, where we could teach future professionals, do high quality research, but also have these companies participating. And this perfect location next to smartest hospital in the world. So there would be this kind of oyster center where the pearls of the future healthcare are made. So this is something that we are currently working quite heavily on. And with that, that was it. And now I would be open for questions, and also let's continue in the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Timo. I don't know if everyone got inspired, but I really got inspired. Really, it was a great surprise for me. I was waiting, but you would do a hell of a job. But 140 pilots, it's for me, it's amazing, really. Congratulations, you are doing really good job.
Thank you.
And I also I would like to stress that for our startups, you have also mentioned for the open invitation. So if they would like to be in contact with you, we can also connect you at a later stage. We have also the presentation of Luis for the Innovation Coalition, which is great, and also Beata's invitation for the hospitals platform, which is also very great. And we see that there are a lot of opportunities for collaboration. I would like to really thank you all. And I give the floor to Dimitris Kotopoulidis. Dimitris, he's the director of Humane Social Enterprise, and he's also going to speak about the Patients Hub, a new initiative. Dimitris, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everybody. I check if you see my screen. Okay, I was really inspired for the two previous presentations. The first one shows that the pathway in order to have more health for every citizens is the combination and collaboration between startups and hospitals. And this presentation really takes back to future, as well said. And the other, and the second presentation shows a lab of co-creation with very good examples. It's already in the future in Finland. Thank you also. And I will try to make a third presentation to see what the patients can do in order to follow these steps to the future. So I would like to say that the future challenges need to redesign health with patient experts. So let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Dimitris Kotopoulidis, and I am wearing two hats. The first hat is that I'm Vice President of Greek Patient Association and Digital Health Chairs that we have inside our organization. It's about like European Patient Forum in Greece that consists with more than 65 patient associations from all the therapeutic categories. So we have a point of view of different diseases and experience. My experience is 12 years in patient advocacy. My second hand is that I am founder and director of Humane, that is a social enterprise empowering people with disabilities and chronic disease. Now I'm finishing my master in public health, and actually the title is Leadership, Innovation, and Value-Based Healthcare Systems. So it means that we try to combine the innovation through leadership, because we are not managers, patient. We try to motivate in order to bring this change. And at the end of the day, we have to measure the value of any steps that we do. And in CF Europe, maybe give me an award as patient advocate for the change of map in cystic fibrosis in Greece, as I am a CF patient. And the second was ELF award last year, because I denied my lung transplantation in order to bring innovation medicine that FDA approved last year for cystic fibrosis, as I'm a cystic fibrosis patient. So let's see two examples to show what patient experience can give us in these steps and how will be the next step from my point of view. So I try to take an example of cystic fibrosis that, if you already know, cystic fibrosis is a respiratory disease that affects mostly the lungs. And the patients die in very young ages through the problems of lack of lungs. So an exam that we have to do it very often is spirometry. That's we're actually measuring our lung function. It needs to be done a regular monitoring, to do it a lot of times per year. It's done in hospital and you have to make an appointment. It's evaluated by our pulmonologist. And this exam is for all the respiratory disease, all the respiratory patients. So COVID give us a change, give us an opportunity, and make a lot of changes. The one change is that from a big machine, the spirometry, that it's in hospital, we moved on health pocket devices, like a spirometry that it's very small and you carry it. So the big challenge, the big change was that from the hospital moves to our home, moves to our work. And this has a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities also. So if we want to examine these challenges and these opportunities, the first is that manufacturing is changed a lot how we measure our health. First of all, it goes very small as a size. You take out the cables, you use batteries, the screen is out because you use your smartphone. You create a user profile, so it's a small access in your medical folder. It connects with a doctor, and if we connect a lot of patients in the same devices, we create patient networks that we see the progress between each other. So with this change, we see a lot of opportunities. First of all, is that we gain time from unnecessary travel, and it's very important for the patients to not losing time in big distances, especially when the center it's far away of where are you living. The second that was very important in COVID also is that we are protected against cross-contamination. So we don't have to travel to a hospital, but we are doing our exams by our home. We can do it every day, we can do it every hour. So we can measure without having one appointment after 3 months, after a year. We can make comparisons with our past, with our medical history to see what's happening. It's connected directly with the doctor, so we don't need to make an appointment. We can just send the results. I already told you that we can associate with co-patients to see how our progress is, to make some comments or to make challenge between us. And finally, it's a disease self-management product that we set up our goals and we try to have more health as a goal. So the big change is that the diagnosis turns from a boring process into a pleasure health challenge. And here you can see me that I am wearing my headphones, and it's an electronic stethoscope that we can see how is your progress. And with an AI that runs under it, you can detect how bad or how well are you without having to go to your doctor. But except from these benefits, we're facing some challenges, and we face it here in Greece when we have during COVID to give these spirometers to the patients, and was the following. First of all, the patient didn't know how to use the device. They need the manual, they need some training as a device, as all the devices when you buy them. The second problem is that, okay, they see some results, some numbers, but what is the meaning of these numbers? So we have to train them in order to understand what these numbers are. The third challenge was that, okay, I see my lung function is 35%, but what does it mean? Is very urgent to go to my doctor, or I have to stay home and it's okay? So we need to develop critical skills to patients to empower them in order to understand what the health record are and how important it is. And if they have to make a choice to go to the doctor because it's very important, or to take an answer from the bot that answer for you. The fourth challenge was that, okay, they finally appeared a lot of applications, a lot of devices like this. What is the better? What is the more value? So it's like now, like all the market happens, a lot of products comes, but we don't know what is the best. And of course, you know that in our mobile, we have 1 or 2 applications. We cannot have a lot of them. because we will not use them. We will be not engaged. So it's very important to know what to use to avoid all of this voice of a lot of products. And finally, what we want to achieve is the compliance and the engagement of the patients. But here is a big challenge that we are not all the users the same. For example, the adult CF patients, they know to use the mobile phones and they are more close to technology. But when we go to the small children doesn't use these devices, their parents use it, and there is a gap of age at least, or knowledge. So this is a gap that we need to address. For this reason, I think the conclusion is that technology gives us a lot of opportunities, but in order to take advantage of them, we need digital training, health literacy, and empowerment. But this is not enough because we are not the same users. We have a difference between our background, our professional background, our knowledge, our age. And of course, when we are talking about different diseases, it's totally different, the profile, the persona that use a health device. So the second example is that with the design thinking process, with patients from the start, from the idea until it goes to the market, will help us to have more innovative and more personalized solutions. Like the drugs, now we need to do it in healthcare devices. So I give a second example, again from cystic fibrosis, that some years before we discovered that with high intensive exercise, we can gain 8 years more. So it was very important, and we tried to make exercise programs in Greece in a hospital. But we faced some problems. For the reason of contamination, we have to empty all the room to be one alone patient with the doctor, and this has bad results because the patients were bored. They wanted some company to do it, and finally they step out of the program. But the patients have, from the other side, understand that it's very good for their health. So they were moving to their gym to do it alone or to do it with friends, but they didn't have oxygen to support them. They didn't have a coach, and we didn't have the results that we needed. And of course, it's not sustainable when we have one patient per room to do the exercise. And of course, we don't have so many physicians to do it. At this stage, I was studying architecture. So I tried to go with my partners in architecture, with physiotherapists and with patients to work together. So the result is that we designed the breath box, an innovative respiratory chamber that gives a solution to our problems. So when we develop this breath box, it's like our silent booth that now after COVID we use them. Inside there, if you see in the target, there was a UV sterilizer that cleaned the air, and we didn't have the problem of contamination. Secondly, we make an application that we could have distant medical support or to make challenges with other patients in other places. So we have a company and we were engaged, and we make it was very more fun than taking exercise alone. And the other gain, the benefit that we gain is that we had personalized programs without the need of physical presence of a physician. So the application recognizes you put your kilos, you put your respiratory lung function, and it makes a program for yourself. And the most, the biggest advantage of this device was that this transparent is a PVC that we can roll it. The side doors goes down, you take it in a wheelchair and you take it home. So we managed to have a portal chamber, a whole respiratory lab in your home. And we see again the same pattern that the hospital can come to your home. You can do it more easy and you are more engaged. So it was the same idea. We turn a boring treatment into an entertaining, effective fun activities. So after these exams, we find out that the solution is that we provide through Patients Hub, that is the first cooperative hub of innovation and empowerment, driven by patient, is the co-creation procedure. So we make design thinking solution by patient experts, not patient experienced, because the experience is not make you expert, but we are trying to divide categories of expertise through different therapeutical categories and through different levels in order to bring the knowledge of the patient, the experience of the patient in the design thinking process. So as we do it in Breathbox, that we design together with doctors, we try to do it in all the healthcare devices. So this was my presentation. So we strongly believe that the redesigning health in future challenges, we need to do it together with patient experts.
Thank you very much, Dimitris. Thank you. It's nice to have you with us. And Dimitris has been, like he said, a health activist, let's say, because really you have raised your voice, patient's voice, and that's really nice. Because at the end of the day, you know, we work towards a better health, and we would like this to have an impact on citizens and on patients. You know, whatever you design, at the end of the day, you would like to make healthcare professionals easier for healthcare professionals, and so that they can, you know, provide better services to patients, etc., etc. So, George, he would like to say something. George.
I would just like to say that the Breathbox was the first Greek solution ever to receive funding from EIT Health Innostras back in 2017. Beata was the first winner from Greece for Innostras Awards. That was all I wanted to point out. I just have to make all the connections here so that the work can stand out. And we can continue with the next part, which will be some presentation, some panel discussion, except if anyone has some questions now, because it was very important to have this, the patient associations with us as well, and we see how valuable their work can be.
It was a very interesting to our seminar, really very interesting. We're just starting now to work with Attikon Hospital. We agreed on what we presented to them. Mainly they care about the tele-oncology management of a part of their patients. Attikon is a public hospital, very crowded with cancer patients, and they liked what they proposed so far. The main point is we need one person, at least, to be there every day to educate, as Mr. Kentopoulos said, the patients in order to register at the platform. And we will upload several questionnaires that the hospital asked to be able to upload their patient characteristics, type of cancer, disease characteristics, and all that. And then we will upload several questionnaires on the always within a protocol to have the permission to publish that. That's information, it's important, about their symptoms after chemotherapy, how they do, etc., in order to treat their symptoms early. And also to save money from the patients and from the system. At least 1/3 of the visits will be reduced.
Perfect.
Yes.
No,
The problem at this point now is that we must find, the startup has to find, especially the culture, one person to be there every day in the hospital. This person needs a salary. We think to go to philanthropistic organization to ask for money for this salary. This is not that easy. I mean, we are on their own for this collaboration. But collaboration depends on this culture. Many other hospitals didn't accept to participate. They don't have the culture to participate since it is so important for them. However, then we are stuck with this. I think it's a small amount of money, depending on what the hospital will earn.
Excuse me, Dr. Rapeliti,
yes.
If I may interrupt you. I would like to focus on the questions that we have to our international experts. That could be the discussion at a later point, you know, at national level. You know, we are here to support you, you know, Also in the terms of funding, if you would like, we can consider some opportunities. But I think that the question to Luis and Timo would be how to deal with these issues in general, if
Yes.
all innovation, has to do about money, and that's what the hospital needs, and that was a startup need that you all mentioned. It's startups, they do not have money, it's limited funding, and how to deal with this. If you have like any experience on if you have any tips to share, and that would be nice. So Luis, the floor is yours.
Yeah, one of the new developments that we've seen is actually hospitals partnering up with venture funds and establishing a fund together where the hospital doesn't put money in, but puts in the expertise and all the resources that the hospital has for the startups. And then the venture fund supports the development of a new technology spinning out of the hospital. And the reason that the venture fund is interested in this is, of course, that there is a higher possibility of this startup succeeding because it's spinning out from an actual need that has been validated in the hospital. And so that is definitely one opportunity to think a little bit creative about fundraising. And that venture funds and investors could very well be interested in doing a partnership around funding of new solutions and startups. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, of course, again, that emphasizes the importance of bringing in some kind of income from innovation, that you can establish your own fund. And that's what the Danish hospitals are doing. They're making money on what they provide to the companies, and with that, they're investing in in-house ideas and developing them to be spun out.
If Timo has something to say, and then since we're discussing about funding and success stories, we'll go to Maria Palidou and
I could a little bit echo and enhance this Luis's comment, because it's quite typical that hospitals are not investing money in the co-creation cases, but it's investing expertise and resources. And of course, those can be evaluated quite easily. But that is the quite typical model in the public healthcare. And we have been following closely what the Denmark example is doing concerning those owning the solutions and then like selling those and gaining maybe profit for the public organization. But we are not there yet in Finland, so we are a little bit behind in that way. But I think that will be the model of the future.
Yes, Timo, I feel the same about Greece. We're a bit far from this. I guess Finland is a bit closer. What I would like to learn from you would be basically what are the lessons learned from all these processes? I mean, do you have any experiences to share that, about failures, because we always talk about successes and best practices, but we don't talk about our failures. And, you have to do something like 10,000 times as, to succeed at the end. So if you would like to talk about the other 9,900 times, so basically, Luis, I'm sorry. Yes, Luis, was yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to change the way of looking at failures a little bit, and actually looking at them also as successes, because you always learn something from each failure. And when you talk to investors, for example, they are much more likely to invest in an entrepreneur and a startup that has already failed. Not because they want to invest in someone who fails, but because those who've already failed have learned the expensive lessons already and are getting closer to the success. And so I definitely agree that hospitals, just as they celebrate successes, need to share failures. in order to learn from them. And it's part of what we're doing in Denmark. We have a national network of hospitals, and they are sharing some of the failures in order to figure out, okay, how can we not make those mistakes again? And it's also part of why we're here sharing our experiences, because we want you maybe to not do some of the failures that we've done, so that you can move forward much faster than we did. But I think it's important to have a culture in the hospital that allows for failure, and that healthcare professionals are allowed to fail in their innovation ventures, because most innovation ventures do fail. That's part of the game. And therefore, it's more of a question of having a lot of balls in the air, because the more you start, the more will succeed. And it is a bit of a numbers game, but failure shouldn't be looked at as something negative. It should actually be looked at as something positive. And it's a question of daring. And that's part of creating the culture of innovation in a hospital. It's all about daring.
Thank you very much, Louise. I think it's also in the Danish culture, the positive recadration. I don't know if it's the word in English. In Greek is αναπλησίωση, θετική αναπλησίωση. That's how Danish people, you know, they work, and it's very good to
First
see
time
that.
I hear both words, Greek and English.
There is also a book about how to raise your children, you know, to be
Okay.
happy, like the Danish people do. So yeah, it's, you know, in the book. So so Timo, the floor is yours. You would like, yes, to share your experience.
Yeah, something, one of the recent major challenges that we have faced in the development cases is the access to data. Even though our patient information systems are ranked best in Finland, and all the patient information is in electronic format, so still we have not been able to get that data out of the systems in the swift way to utilize it in the artificial intelligence algorithm development. And that has been a major struggle. But we see it also that once we are the first ones to make these tracks in the deep snow, so to say, in skiing, so others will be easier to follow on those same tracks. So someone has to be the first one. And that requires a little bit commitment, and this kind of commitment also from the hospital management, that we put resources into something that is really difficult and resource consuming, but then it will serve the whole community of healthcare in the future. So that is one of the findings. But also I think that when we are putting lots of pilot cases ongoing, so that is case also in Oulu, so people start to ask that we have more pilots than Finnair or British Airways ongoing. So it can also be a little bit messy at times. So it requires a really good facilitation, and one innovation center inside public hospital cannot control all the pilots. So something that we have learned is that you need to give responsibility in the actual medical teams for this pilot progress facilitation, and especially in the increasing their commitment in the new solution implementation and adaptation. So there is still a risky point in the development phase, even if the solution is really good. So it requires lots of resources to actually implement it in the real use.
So yeah, Timo, that's very important. And we have discussed about, you know, the innovation centers inside the hospitals in our last morning health talk, where it all began, all this dialogue with the hospital and startups. We had Mr. Jal Tigmelman from the Shiba Hospital that shared his experience in what ARC, the innovation center of the Shiba Hospital, is been doing, and it's really important, and I wish that we will see it in Greece as well, you know, very soon. George, you would like to
Well, until this happens in Greece, we created Symbiosis for that reason, and we are proud of it, since it also has technology transfer offices, like Vasilis is here representing the Technology Transfer Office, and We have all the innovation capabilities. We are national contact points for Horizon Europe, the Cluster 4 Digital Industry Space, Cluster 1 Health, Cancer Mission, members of the Enterprise Europe Network. So we bring all these services together. Continuing to the previous discussion, here in Greece, from what we were discussing with the representative of the Can-Do startup and also, I guess, Sophia Gianni, we were discussing about how personal it gets sometimes to start something, to take the information to the right place, to the right director, to build the culture, to have the initiative. So if you give us your lights on this, since you're representing both worlds.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your invitation. So it seems that from what we've heard, we are pretty much left behind as a country and more as a culture and as a mindset. I would like first to pose the problems that we have met, and then perhaps give some results and some ways that we have overcome these obstacles. One of the most important problems, I think that Mrs. Thompson said it before, is that in Greece, everyone wants to make their own solution on their own. So there are many organizations, either public or either private, that they create the same things again and again and again, and give money to something that they recreated in a way that usually is perhaps less effective than others, but they still prefer if it is on their own, if it has their own stamp. We have seen this in Greece, and we have seen it very much during the period of COVID, where we had practically identical applications, tens of identical applications and startups that they haven't managed to keep up and to continue working, because none of us and none of them got the grants and the funding that they needed. The second major problem is that we haven't had up to now a good name, a good reputation, because nobody practically in Greece knows what innovation is all about. I think that most lame person, if we say about innovation, they have in mind something that is a way to get your hands on public money. Also, when someone hears about commercialization in the public sector, it seems that it is a huge red flag. I mean, it's as if you stole his purse or you stole his money. When you say that I have a startup and I have a product that I want to put it in a public hospital, but also I want something to be commercial and to do it something later on, it will be probably it will be a no-go. And also there are no incentives. No one has a reason to change the way they do things as they used to do it. Perhaps some new doctors and perhaps some younger person in a place of that they have a word. Perhaps they would like to do some things more effectively. But it is a good to have, and it's not something that someone pushes them or they need to do it for some reason. So there are practically very few or none incentives either in the private or in the public sector. For sure, in the public sector there are none. And finally, as I started, is that we don't have the culture. We don't have the culture of collaboration between companies, either in the private sector or between public organizations. And there is none written about how to collaborate between public and startups. It's something that we write it now, and we try to find a way how to do it. From what I said, it's it's a pretty hard map, and it's not a way. I'm not talking about to dissuade or everyone to try it, but it will be a hard road, and it will be a bumpy road with many obstacles and nothing easy. We tried for years, and I would like to show you some bullets that it helped try to implement it. And for now, we have also one case, and perhaps in the future some more. My first advice is that you have to find the right person. You have to find the right person in the right place that has the need, and also is open to talk about it and to think it. And the right person is not always easily found. It's not the manager of the hospital. It may not be the professor. It may not be the chief doctor. It may be some person at a lower place, perhaps of the Bureau of Quality of the hospital or anywhere, and that may be involved in these things, and you have to find him, talk to him, and he may show you the way. And the way is different in every hospital. It seems to be different in every hospital. And if you find this person, then there are two ways. The one is to ask for their needs, if they know them, and the second is to pose to show them your solution and see if this meets their needs. Usually, it has to be a combination. I have found it extremely hard when I showed a certain solution that it's stiff and it has all the edges, and it's take it or leave it. It's what we give. They find it extremely hard to swallow it, and they find it extremely hard to implement it in a hospital. So you have to be flexible. You have to be able to make some changes and reinvent, and perhaps make some changes in your product so that it can meet the needs of the hospital or of the doctors. The other way, if you is to have a person on the inside, to have someone from the inside that has the need and that wants the need and wants something, and you can contact him and tell him, I can give you what you need. This may be maybe a doctor, maybe someone that is on the research field, and these people usually are more open-minded. And the third part, my third advice is that you have always, you need to give them incentives, because they don't have, as I said, so you have to give them one. So perhaps if you have found a way to fund your whole idea, because usually funding, it's a huge problem, especially in the public sector, because everything that they spend have to be through a certain way, through the diadia and through competitions, which are extremely hard, and it's a way that makes things even harder. So usually you have to bring to them the way to fund this whole collaboration. Usually it's easier if you find a European fund, or if you work a way to fund it with them, because usually they have money that they spend in some needs that usually they try to reduce them. So if you find a place that you can reduce the money they already spent, this is a good incentive.
Thank you, Ian. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just that because we're out of time, and okay. You also you're a dual agent, so it's great to have you with us, because you have seen the both ways, and you are in the both sides situation. And you have mentioned about incentives, and because our international experts are still here, and I really thank you for this. I would like to ask you, Luis and Timo, if there is anything you would like to share about incentives, because it's a huge, point, how to motivate, and you have shown in your presentation also some incentive, you have focused on incentives also, Louise. If you would like to share something else that you have seen that it's really working.
Yeah, I think the issue of incentives is very culturally based also. So there may be some differences what is possible in different countries. I know in Israel, for example, they incentivize by actually giving money to the inventor. If there is an exit or royalty, the inventor gets part of that. In Denmark, we more focus on a bit also what Timo mentioned, training, providing skills, making people better at what they're doing. Also providing some kind of prestige around being an innovator, celebrating it internally in the hospital, maybe having newsletters where you celebrate people who are trying to come up with new inventions, engaging them in international initiatives so that it becomes kind of on the level of research. It's something that people aspire to be a part of, but it depends on the culture, what motivates, and that's part of the job. You need to figure out what would motivate your healthcare professionals, and you can ask them what they would, what it would take for them to engage.
Thank you, Louise. I guess, yes, you mentioned money is always a good incentive, but all the rest, trainings and capacity building, it's really important as well. Timo?
Yeah, I could continue here that the money is not the solution. In Oulu Health Labs activity, if I use that as a reference, so we get those professionals to participate as a part of their daily job. But there are other ways of providing these credits, like we have a group of innovation ambassadors inside Oulu University Hospital, and that is a group who has more information and they know more about these innovation procedures, and they can also help their colleagues, and they know about upcoming sessions and such. So that little gives them a little bit something extra for their job. And then in those co-creation cases, it's quite typical that we give a small rewards and like box of chocolate, but it's something to like show the appreciation and maybe that kind of diplomas that they have been participating in this co-creation of that solution. So that's for them personally. But then like our colleagues in Spain, they gave then this kind of professional credits that are required for certain professional career purposes. So that kind of possibility should be also considered. That's not valid in Finland, but in Spain, that was a really good motivator to give those points when they are participating.
Thank you, Timo. And also Louise mentioned about the champions, and I think it works in different environments, in different contexts. It has worked in different sectors. So champions is also a good example.
Varvara, we have our own ambassadors. We see that it's difficult to bring them all at our events at the same time. We have 1/3 of them here from the hospitals, and likely we have for the public hospitals, they can also participate in public procurement for innovation calls in Horizon Europe and other kind of procurement methodologies. We can learn a bit more if we have time from Pagariou Hospital. And also we've seen that in Oulu, they have created their own procurement system where they connect with open innovation, with the ecosystem, and they have the processes and the framework to include and test the solutions from the market. Probably such an internal procurement process wouldn't be in bias with the eligibility criteria of the national procurement and the national procurement methodologies if they're all both combined. This is interesting to study, to match them together. And we have a lot to talk and many people to discuss with. Of course, later we'll see.
Because,
yes.
George, if just to say that to Luis and Timo, if they would like to be released, they're free to go. We are really appreciate your efforts and your
But I think they will be very interested to listen to the solution of Forceprint that just got
I
granted,
wanted to talk about that.
Just got granted from the EIC Accelerator.
Yes,
where
we have
it's the top of the
Forceprint.
top program of the European Commission regarding risky innovative solutions. So let's listen to Maria.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you, and we are very proud. We are also a little bit anxious to be the first Greek company, Greek startup to get the EIC Accelerator grant first selection. So we are a laser bioprinter developer, and we aspire to transform healthcare by introducing in vivo laser bioprinting in the OR. So listening to Luis and Timo talking about Denmark and Finland and talking about innovative hospitals and hospitals with probably regenerative medicine clinics, the bells started ringing in my head. I'm not a scientist, I'm the business arm, but I spent 20 years of my career in medical devices. For Johnson & Johnson, I had an amazing pleasure of being also responsible for the Nordic region. So I know a little bit about your healthcare systems. And I also know how innovative and progressive both Denmark and Finland are when it comes to adopting new healthcare solutions. So we would probably need to discuss some sort of a collaboration in the future, okay? So yes, we're very happy. We have a very, very detailed plan, a development plan to optimize our hardware and software, which is so our solution is it's a system that includes the bioprinter, hardware and software, and also the protocols for applying bioprinting in the OR. So our first application will be in bladder cancer and improving bladder function post cystectomy and bladder augmentation. So if there is any interest, I will be very, very happy to discuss it with you. I understand, Jorgen and Varvara, that a lot of the startups here are more into digital health. We are more into, hardcore application of medtech. But I think we all share the same frustration about working with hospitals, finding the right stakeholders to discuss our offering. And for instance, our next challenge will be to find hospitals to work with us when it comes to doing some tests with our system. So I hope I've said what I had to say. I know there are only a few minutes left before Luis and Timo probably want to go, yeah?
You also have the search for the additional funding from the VCs. You have other issues as well, funding to go to the market after TRL9 and all the rest, but you have also the luck to have the coverage for the TRLs 5 to 8.
Yes, well, actually listening to Luis before and Timo, because I joined at one, I'm sorry, I was on another call. We would be interested in discussing, in finding funding options with hospitals and hospitals that have regenerative medicine clinics that would be interested in investing in a solution like ours. So, we discuss with mentors now and with people who advise us. And one of the advice that came, of course, from Silicon Valley, not from Greece, was why not contact hospitals that are, they have innovative programs and they have regenerative medicine units that, are investing in breakthrough healthcare technologies that can really transform the standard of care. Yeah.
Well, Varvara, shall we listen also to ways to collaborate between hospitals and startups from Collaborate and Papageorgiou Hospital?
Yes, just to say that Maria Bigakis is our ambassador at the university, at the Papageorgiou Hospital, because we have said about the incentives, and Timo, you said about the innovation ambassadors inside the hospital, and Maria, she has been a really great ambassador inside her hospital, really. And it's a pleasure to have you here, Maria. And they started a collaboration with Collaborate. That's a good name for starting a collaboration with. So Kostas Saridakis is also with us. So if you'd like to share, I don't know if we have the time to show the video. We can send the link to everyone. If you can say just a few words about your collaboration, how it started and how it's growing.
Hello to everyone. No, Kostas, you can start and I will make the conclusions.
Okay, thank you. So basically, it was last year in July when we had participated in a similar event like the one today by the National Documentation Center. It was the starting point of an amazing opportunity for us because in that talk we found the contact details of various hospitals, like the one from the Papageorgiou General Hospital. And we also found that there are other non-for-profit organizations like the Praxis Network that can actually help startups, find the appropriate proposals. So we were recommended to apply for the COVID-Dex program. Then we approached the General Hospital Papageorgiou, and luckily the team there was very responsive, very positive in engaging with us. So in just a few weeks, we prepared the proposal. I also remember that we were working from our vacational spots, and we immediately applied in September. And then in November, we were awarded the COVID-Dex project. It was a 150K project, very important for us because it allowed us to, generate attention to life science companies and to other hospitals as well, and to perform a really great cooperation with Maria's team that actually resulted in upcoming other project opportunities and a 5-year contract with the hospital. So indeed, it was a game-changing opportunity for us, and we would like to advise other companies, other startups, that these kind of talks are actually very important, and that they should always pursue this kind of opportunities. Maria, back to you.
Thank you, Kostas. I would like to thank all the previous speakers, first of all, for the valuable advice. About our experience, I can say that it was a great experience working with Kostas' team, with Collaborate Health. They came at the right moment to solve a great problem that we faced during COVID period. When we had about more than 5,000 patients discharged from the hospital, and the post-COVID office could not prioritize these patients, and they were in a great need for a solution to help prioritize them and provide the right treatment and the follow-up to all those at risk to develop long COVID syndrome in a timely manner. So we worked together. We had a great cooperation with Collaborate Health. We had great results. Our project will be finalized at the end of the current month. And I will agree with all the previous speakers that they said that it's a win-win for everyone involved, from the startup to the hospital and to the patients.
At TKT, as members of the Enterprise Europe Network, we can support all startups finding partners from abroad and finding the right goals and programs from Horizon Europe, or even sub-programs that are using the cascading grant methodology, like COVID-Dex, that has calls for experiments, pilots, testing, and can give from 50 to 150K for testing and using the main project partners' facilities. And it's a good opportunity. Many startups have received money close to $1 million in the last 3 or 4 years through these smaller opportunities from Horizon Europe that also include COVID-Dex program. well, you'll continue inspiring us and collaborating with other startups. And another opportunity to connect with the startups and the hospitals is the RIS Innovation Program that opens every year from EIT Health and asks for a hospital, a startup, a university, or other kind of type of organizations, 3 of them to collaborate and submit a proposal to receive a small amount of money, like 75K in total for all 3 of them, for a small period of time to increase the maturity of a solution after proof of concept. This is the interesting part is that this has helped bring closer startups and hospitals, because the last 3 years Greece was among the first, if not the first, in submissions. This makes it more difficult for you to receive the grants because we're increasing the population of the submitted proposals. But still, this process brings you closer together. And this year we also had around 17 proposals, and we're crossing our fingers to receive the funding there. So Varvara, the last comments from our audience and the main speakers. And thank you, Maria and Kostas and Anthi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if there is any question from the audience, from the rest participants. At this point, I don't know if there is anyone from BioNTech here, or Metabio Bio. Anyway, there are 2 startups that were selected for a business mission to Spain. There are 2 symbiosis startups, and they will visit a Spanish incubator.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Panagiotis. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
You're gonna be visiting. I don't know if you would like to say something about the business trip, the business mission.
Yes, it's an acceleration within a university in Spain. We hope to gain from the experience and to broaden our network and see how Spain is a market that we're interested in as a biobanking market. And so we are very interested to see how things are doing in the field and expand our knowledge.
They're close to different clinics and veterinary and different things to see there. And I think we have, also all of speakers, Luis and Timo, you have, talked and you have put emphasis on, how to create, international solutions for the startups, that they target the global market, not like a local market. You cannot scale up, you have to really aim high, and all these international experiences really help them to move forward. So
can I add something? I've heard all the presentations and were really thoughtful. And I had the previous, not long ago, experience in Israel and visiting Rambam Hospital. And just to mention, they are building an innovation center beside the Rambam Hospital, which is much bigger than the hospital itself. And on the top floor, they are putting all the startups, which they incorporate into the network. And along with the hospital, they provide not only expertise, but funding, a place to work with beside the hospital. And it was really amazing for us. It was a methodology approaching hospitals and startups that we have never seen before. And it is really amazing. And you see the results, and we saw them on our tour of the hospital, that most of the new technology were created and implemented within the hospital itself.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you the opportunity to say about what you have been doing.
Yes,
because you're doing great stuff as well.
Yes, and in our last meeting, we have an MOU with Attikon Hospital as well, with the pathology clinic, to find the funding for creating a next generation biobank, and we thought work with them. But in MetaBio overall, we provide digital services for biobanking, and we connect all the players that are associated with the biosample user cycle, and we provide interoperability to them and other unique features. And overall, we want to create a biosample with more value for research that is done upon it on the basic pipeline of research.
Thank you very much, Panagiotis. Thank you. I would like to say that with Dimitris, we're gonna work together and to be more inclusive about patients, and this is what it's a missing point, and patients' voice should be heard. And so we're very happy about that, Dimitris. Thank you. And Vasilis, you would like to say something?
Just a final remark, because I want to end this meeting from my part with an optimistic view. Okay, we're not where Denmark or Finland is, we know that, but we are in a much better position than what we were about 5 or 10 years ago. There is the Elevate Greece, that is the national registry that finally started to map the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem. There are initiatives. There are cooperations. Two startups mentioned that they started the cooperation with the Attikon Hospital, which is a public hospital. The mentality has changed. The economic crisis left us with some bad things, but changed the way we see the entrepreneurship. Recently, I found out that there is also an International Failure Day. It was a couple of days ago. So we started to celebrate our failures and learn from them. So I'm going to say that we are in a program here that supports and promotes the cooperation between the collaboration between startups and the public sector, as long with the private sector, of course. I'm feeling optimistic. And as Yannis, my friend from Ducadu, said, for startups, there is a bumpy road. Nobody disagrees, but I think we left the dirt road behind. We're in a highway. Okay, others are ahead of us, but we're in a highway and we have to speed up. So that's my final remark, and I want to thank everyone from sharing their views.
Thank you very much, Vasilis. Thank you. And yeah, I think that the intervention of Yannis was also very important. Being a dual agent really helps, and to understand both parties' needs. It was a really great honor and to have Luis and Tim with us, and Dimitris. Really thank you, guys, and also Beata. I don't know if she's still here. EIT Health has given us a lot of tools and platforms to really and resources, that really help us to support startups and collaborations. From my point, we're always open, to support startups and hospitals in this pathway towards better health, providing better health. I don't know if Yorgos, you would like to say something before we close. And I'm sorry, also CBS's next workshop will be a co-creation workshop. We're going to invite both hospitals and startups to co-create and to work together towards better solutions. So George, the floor is yours.
Well, I don't have a lot to say, and we should meet at the next co-creation workshop. And thanks a lot for everyone for coming, and Archimedes Center, our partners, Vasilis and Yannis, all the hospitals, the startups, and of course our main speakers, Ms. Thompson, Timo, which I won't try to pronounce the last name, and Dimitris, and the rest, and Maria, and everyone, both Marias. And I just added a link from the Ministry of Health in France that they try to include some portals and some helpful links from a variety of countries. We try to help them with the Greek one. There are still some mistakes there, but you can find also access to innovation labs, accelerators, still like the elevators in other countries. That's the French ministry gathered them, and this will try to help you. I hope it helps. And now just thank you for coming, and hope it was useful. Back to Varvara for the closing.
Thank you all for coming, and you are almost 40 survivors here, so thank you all really. And thank you, George, because he's really in a bad shape, and he tried his best, you know, with a dislocated shoulder, you know.
He looks fine to me.
Have an MRI at the afternoon, so wish me luck.
And thank you all really, and thank you our communication team for the great work. And they have posted on social media, so feel free to exchange also in your social media. So thank you all, and we keep moving and we keep in touch, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very
Bye.
much. Bye.
Bye-bye.